Cowboys have their franchise quarterback. You know the Buccaneers obviously have theirs. So, Samter, which way should I go here? Should I, from the Cowboys' point of view, because the Bucs is self-explanatory. Coming off the championship, absolutely loaded, could run the table, could win it again. The more intriguing layer to me, and I think everybody, is Dallas. So, should I skew right now? Should I go a little more favorable, optimistically, or should I illuminate some things that I think Cowboys fans who are maybe a little bit overly giddy with the 2-point competitive loss to a great team that might frame some negatives? Which way should I go? You tell me.
I think it's one of those good news, bad news kind of things. Start with a little bit of the bad news.
Okay.
But personally, I felt like there was a lot more good news than bad.
I don't disagree.
Point out some of the bad news with a but at the end, and then, kind of illuminate what I think could be a really, really impressive season for
It's going to be interesting. And listen, I said at the start of the show, so a couple of hours ago, that, all you had to do was watch 2 or 3 defensive series. They are so much more polished and in sync and structured and disciplined. Even the right side of the line held up without Zach Martin for the most part. So they looked like a team that, is going to win a lot of games. You never know what's going to happen, because if we were sitting here after the first 2 or 3 weeks last year, even though we knew their defense was awful, we also thought that Dak would be there for all 16 games. And then early October, unfortunately, Dak was scraped off the turf and done for the year, and we had to watch Andy Dalton play football. So you don't know. But if they stay healthy, between Quinn's presence, Gallup did get nicked up. We had him on the show last week, Michael Gallup, and he's out 3 to 5 weeks. Not terrible. CeeDee Lamb had the drop. Those arms got a little short there, a little tight. He may have gotten popped, but you got to make that play. That should not have been a pick. Amari Cooper played very well. Jarwin's good. Now, they're not going to throw it 58 times a week. And everybody that was up in arms, last night, where's Zeke, or this morning on some of the shows, or even today throughout in social media, you've got to react to what's in front of you. To me, I liken it this way. If you are a pitcher and you are susceptible to the changeup, I'm going to feed you the soft stuff. Why the hell would I throw in, even if it's 97, these guys can hit 100 at this point. Why would I groove a fastball when you destroy fastballs? No, I'm going to set you. I'll throw you a show me fastball that you can't possibly hit, and I'll do it out of the zone. And then I'll throw a slider with about an 11 or 12 mile per hour variance on the black. Then I'll throw a darting changeup in the dirt, and that's what I'll do. And that's what you do when you play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. You've got to throw changeups, and to run at that wall of granite, those incredibly gifted, it's like 7 or 8 guys who were phenomenal. So I don't think last night is a foreshadow of some. It's going to be a foreshadow of Dak playing very well, yes. But it's not going to be a foreshadow of this radical overhaul stylistically where Kellen Moore now completely abandons the run and Dak is forgotten about. We saw Pollard really as much as Dak. It seemed anyway. I don't know exactly how many carries or touches Pollard had, but it seemed pretty equitable, right? At least in recollecting now. All right, so there's a lot of good things. You do have to illuminate the one negative. And again, this is a snapshot view. Tampa could have easily scored 50. Now, Tampa's also Tampa. They're Tampa. Antonio Brown, like I said earlier, this guy is ready to cook. If you drafted Antonio Brown on your fantasy team, I know you got him late because I know where he went in mine. If you drafted him, sit back and watch him get 1,300 yards. It's coming. Antonio Brown is back. The only reason he was gone was because of things that he brought upon himself, and nobody really wanted him. And by the time he went with Tampa, half the season was done. And he still put up 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. So if you prorate that out, that's a pretty decent season. A lot of guys would take that. It would be 1,008. But, 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So Tampa, they're going to just toy with people this year. But I just can't get too hung up on the fact that Dallas lost by 2 to an elite team on every angle of the football field, including coaching, by 2, and say that that's an absolute reason why Dallas will win the NFC East and put up some gaudy win total. Can't say that because Tampa didn't play very well. Now you got to be fair and say part of the reason Tampa didn't play that well is because Dallas did some things that made them play poorly. 4 turnovers Tampa Bay had. That might not happen again. Matter of fact, I bet on that not happening again the rest of the season. 4? Maybe 2 or 3. I don't think they'll have 4. That's a lot. And Tampa had 11 penalties. They might match that once, but probably not. For well over 100 yards. 106, I think. So you still lost. But I'm not here to rain on the parade of the emotional parade. We know there hasn't been a real parade for the Cowboys in a long time. It's like getting cantankerous out there now, Tampa. But the emotional parade, the jolt, even my wife felt it as a Cowboys fan, like engaged, that like more hopeful than I've seen her in a couple of years. And I think Cowboys fans should all in unison mirror that. What I saw last night watching with my wife. Because the Giants aren't bringing this to the table. You know, now, periodically, yeah, Saquon comes back. He gets, he trusts his body. Daniel Jones runs for a touchdown. Barkley gets loose. You've got a plethora of receivers. Yeah, the Giants will have weeks where they look really good, right? But then there's going to be weeks where their offensive line gets punished, game plan gets obliterated, and the Giants lose games. And it's going to be ugly sometimes. And I like the Giants coming into the year. Philly, flip a coin. I mean, some people think they could win 8-9 games. I feel like it's more 5 or 6. I think they're at least a year away. I don't believe fully in Jalen Hurts. How could I? All right? Without writing the young man off, but they're not facing this too often. The team is Washington. I thought it was, let me put it this way. Mike, I thought it was a one-team race going into for the division this season. I now believe it's a 2-team race. You want to tell me that's an overreaction to one football game? That's fine. Like, it was not like I was so far removed from being able to conjure up any sort of positive enthusiasm for the Cowboys. I just thought they were inferior to Washington, and they might ultimately prove to be that. But last night, because listen, I had to see Dak throw. I had to see Dak run. I had to see Dak out of the pocket get popped. I had to see it. I had to see the defense at least be serviceable. I mean, Dak Prescott made some throws that were just insane. So I guess I'll leave you with this. I think Dallas is now incredibly relevant for the division, more relevant than I thought they would be for the division. The wild card still seems a bit like a reach from that division. I really think it's coming elsewhere. But Cowboy fans should be pumped. And I know Jerry wants to win as much as anybody. Don't tell me that Jerry Jones didn't lead that. Yeah, he lamented the loss, and it was tough. Jerry Jones gets on that plane saying, all right, we're going to be okay. That's my takeaway for the Dallas Cowboys. Mike.
As much as you want to say that Dak was the most inspiring and positive takeaway, you mentioned it briefly there as well. It was the defense that really impressed me. That offense of the Bucs is so loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got 3 tight ends, three great receivers.
By the way, did Howard even catch a pass? I think I
didn't
saw
see
O.J. Howard catch a pass.
I didn't see him either.
I
saw Brait in there more as a blocker. I didn't see him catching a lot of passes. It was all Gronk and the 3 wideouts. Scotty Miller almost had a catch.
Yeah, he had one. Yeah, that's true. It was negated.
But they've got 3 great receivers, 3 quality tight ends, 2 good running backs, a great offensive line that's young and ascending.
Yeah.
So, the fact that they held them to 31 points, 32 points, I think is a huge statement for the Cowboys defense. They got pressure on Brady. They stopped the run when they had to stop the run. They made plays in the defensive secondary. Micah Parsons is going to be a player.
Yes, he is.
I know that you and Tiki both have him as your defensive rookie of the year.
We love him.
That guy is going to be a player.
Hell yeah.
They just look as good as their offense was last year. As long as their defense isn't historically bad,
it won't be.
That's all that matters, because we know Dak's going to be good. If Dak turns from good to great and the defense goes from historically bad to average, I mean, they're a Super Bowl contender.
I'd stop short of
at least
that.
a contender out of the NFC.
I'd still stop a little short of that. I still think when it's all said and done, the Rams, no order, certainly the Bucs, that's in order. The Bucs, the Rams, the Niners, Seattle. I still think Washington's better today as we sit here.
Those teams are all better, but I wouldn't be if what we saw last night in Dallas is what we see from them all year long, and even maybe a tick better as guys continue to improve.
Yeah.
You have to at least put them within the conversation of not surprising if they make a run.
All right, well, listen, we'll see.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.